In Descendants, we have cars in mystical fantasy land where it's supposedly been 20 years since the events of Beauty and the Beast. And cell phones? And video games? Wow, what else is happening in this world? Welcome to Riveted, and in this video, we have compiled things only adults noticed in Descendants. The politics. Following the establishment of the United States of Auradon, Belle and Beast created a prosperous new nation from the surrounding kingdoms and banished the villains to the Isle of the Lost, a slum surrounded by a barrier where magic is suspended. Descendants 3 was not afraid to go political, and it gained criticism as well as praise for taking that direction. The last installment appeared to dabble a bit in current political themes as it featured a soon-to-be queen who imposed a ban on immigration. In the beginning, Mal decided that to keep everyone in the kingdom safe, the border between Auradon and the Isle of the Lost should be closed forever. In the end, however, with the help of her friends, Mal decided that the best move was to bring down the barrier separating the Isle of the Lost and Auradon. Some people thought that politics should be left to adults, and it should not be included in children's movies. Other people, including the cast members, believed it was a necessary move. Dove Cameron, who plays Mal in the movies, had a very good point to make on Twitter. She said, "The kids who watch this won't always be kids, and they are not ignorant of the world around them." How is Jay a thief? In Descendants, Jay is described as a thief, a con man, and a handsome, quick-witted boy with charm to spare, whose lies are as beautiful and silvery as his eyes. Like the others, Jay was never shown affection by his parents, so when he tries out for the tourney team and makes it, he gets a chance to see what it's like to be part of something as special. At the beginning of the film, he is shown during the song Rotten to the Core, stealing items and causing havoc with his friends. He also steals a bunch of stuff, including a lamp, and gives it to his dad, though it doesn't work. It makes absolutely no sense that Jay, the son of Jafar, is a thief since Jafar was a political mastermind and a sorcerer. Aladdin was the thief and the mischievous one. Did Jafar just go with, if you can't beat him, join him, as a life philosophy? Something else you'll only notice as an adult is that Jay's number in the tourney team is 8. Ironically, an 8 is the shape of a cobra. Boo Boo Stewart, Jay's actor, was also the only one of the 4 VKs not to wear a wig or have his hair dyed during the filming of the first film, as Stewart's natural hair is the same length and color as Jay's. Spiritual aspect. Rather than telling the same stories of good versus evil, the Descendants series addresses the complex issues of sins passing down from generation to generation. Descendants also has different kinds of witchcraft, sorcery, and rituals. For a kid, these may all look like harmless magic, but some adults took this aspect very seriously. They don't appreciate how Disney elevates witchcraft and sorcery in the name of magic. The thoughts were elevated when the franchise introduced Hades, the god of the underworld, to the kids. Hades is simply one of the cool villains with a rock vibe and blue flames, but they may not know the mythology behind Hades. He ruled the dead, assisted by others over whom he had complete authority. The house of Hades was described as full of guests, though he rarely left the underworld. He was also depicted as cold and stern, and he held all of his subjects equally accountable to his laws. And his primary attention was ensuring none of his subjects ever left the underworld. According to one parent on Parents Review, the Descendants franchise is a satanic franchise aimed at spiritually attacking children. Okay, that parent was probably overthinking it a little bit. But on the bright side, Hades is given a second chance and seems eager to redeem himself. He even saves a girl from death by using the power of his ember to revive her. Choreographies. It's impossible to talk about Descendants without mentioning the incredible choreographies. Director and choreographer Kenny Ortega brought the same approach he used with High School Musical to the film. Jamal Sims also brought his edgy pop style to the dance numbers in Descendants 3. However, there's more to the dance moves which only adults may notice. In Night Falls, for instance, the lyrics allow the characters to vocalize some of their grievances, the choreography highlights their skills, and the magic adds just the right amount of silly. Break This Down takes on the feel of a classic Disney production like Mary Poppins, encompassing the standard set for something more akin to a Broadway stage. Kenny Ortega and his team have successfully incorporated early 70s punk rock, 80s icon Tony Basil, and Anna White's Oscar-winning choreography in the 1968 film Oliver, to achieve an aesthetic that's rock and pop and punk meets Broadway meets movie musical. As much as the choreographies have been amazing, not all of them have had the best reviews. Some adults have reported some dance moves in Descendants which they found dirty and inappropriate for kids. One fan reported that her 5-year-old picked up twerking after watching The Descendants. The timeline. If you are an adult watching the Descendants franchise, you'll probably need several alcoholic drinks. While the movie was enjoyable, adults noticed that the timeline in Descendants made no sense. The movie finds the sons and daughters of Disney's most famous heroes and villains, including Beauty and the Beast, Maleficent, Sleeping Beauty, Jafar, Dopey the Dwarf, Cruella de Vil, Cinderella's fairy godmother, and the evil queen from Snow White living together in the same universe. One where the good guys reside in a technicolor fairy tale kingdom called Auradon, and the bad guys have been banished to the dreary Isle of the Lost. It doesn't make sense how all those Disney characters exist at the same time. Mulan's daughter is also in this movie, and she references the Huns in China. That happened, historically speaking, 1,500 years ago. They also actively showed a 3D printer in this movie, and we are led to believe the Huns invasion happened 20 years before the invention of the 3D printer. You will find yourself asking questions like, shouldn't Maleficent be dead? And Jafar too? And what is Cruella doing there? Her story takes place in the 1950s in London. How are these people even friends? Did everyone just agree to get pregnant at the same time? Sexual content. Descendants 2 had a kiss scene between Gil and Harry, but it never made it to the screens. Actors Thomas Dougherty and Dylan Playfair, who played Harry and Gil, respectively, posted to Instagram following the movie's release, seemingly confirming the kiss, but Disney remained mum on the issue. It would have been the first same-sex kiss on the Disney Channel, though not the first same-sex couple. The channel featured a lesbian couple on Good Luck Charlie back in 2014. Maybe Disney thought that the subject on the romance between the same sexes was heavy on kids, but it had other ways of showing sexual references, which the kids probably didn't notice. After her boyfriend is put to sleep by the sleeping curse, Evie spends an entire song debating whether or not true love's kiss will work. Before that, Evie was all about being rescued by a handsome Prince Charming who would take away all her miseries. She draws one boy in to kiss her in a very seductive scene and wants to land a prince with money in a big castle. That notion of a girl sitting pretty and waiting for a Prince Charming is also something adults have also been trying to fight for a very long time. In one of the scenes in Descendants, girls rip the side of their skirts far up to be prettier. It's like trying to make kids look more sexualized. Well, apart from the few instances, Descendants doesn't have a lot of hidden sexual content like other Disney shows. Is Maleficent British? Maleficent was animated by Mark Davis and is based on the evil fairy godmother character in Charles Perrault's fairy tale Sleeping Beauty, as well as the villainess who appears in the Brothers Grimm's retelling of the story, Little Briar Rose. Disney very cleverly set the stage for the Descendants series after the 2014 release of Maleficent, starring Angelina Jolie in the role of the evil witch villain from Sleeping Beauty. In the original Sleeping Beauty, Maleficent's outfit had horns and was shaped to look as if she had wings. Because of a minor offense, she chose to curse Sleeping Beauty to die on her 16th birthday. Maleficent is described as an evil fairy and the self-proclaimed mistress of all evil, who, after not being invited to a christening, curses the infant Princess Aurora to prick her finger on the spindle of a spinning wheel and die before the sun sets on Aurora's 16th birthday. Like Angelina Jolie, Kristen Chenoweth also speaks with a British accent. It doesn't say anywhere that Maleficent was British, so we are also trying to wrap our heads around that accent. Maybe it's because Maleficent was based in a kingdom? There are a few kingdoms left in the world, and the most famous, which speaks English, is the UK. References to the classics. Most people grew up watching Disney movies, and Descendants brought back the good old memories. And The Princess and the Frog, while Dr. Facilier sings Friends on the other side, he holds up tarot cards, one being a happy castle on top with a chaotic one on the bottom, like we saw in the Meet Celia trailer. The song's title also makes a cameo when Celia tells her dad she has friends on the other side. Audrey's dress in D3 before the transformation looks a lot like Aurora's, like it was literally handed down to her. We also remember the major color dilemma Flora and Merryweather had during Sleeping Beauty. Should Aurora's dress be pink or blue? The blue and pink magic came flying out of their cottage chimney during their argument, catching the eye of Maleficent's raven Diablo. This Sleeping Beauty moment is referenced in the view from Maleficent's balcony on the Isle of the Lost. With smoke coming out of the chimneys, part of the wall on the left is painted blue, the other part pink. Maleficent also has several magnets on the fridge, including the words Fools and Revenge. But have you ever noticed the spinning wheel magnet that's there too? This is obviously a reference to the spinning wheel Aurora pricks her finger on. And of course, we have the shops on the Isle of the Lost. Shan Yu's dastardly dim sum is displayed trying to get you to enjoy a Chinese snack from the leader of the Huns army from Mulan. We have Ursula's Fish and Chips, Lady Tremaine's Curl Up and Die, which is closed until midnight, and Hades' Souvlaki is probably offering Greek food. There were also references when it comes to food. Jane, the daughter of the fairy godmother, loves pumpkin pie. Does that remind anyone else of a certain carriage? And Gil's love for eggs, that is also awfully familiar. The ending was lazy. For a kid, the ending in Descendants was probably the best because everyone got their happy ending, including the kids who had been locked up in a slum because of their parents. Mal decides that she just can't roll over Aradon, but the Isle of the Lost as well, and she prompted the fairy godmother to drop the barrier once and for all. And they all lived happily ever after. However, looking at it from a mature perspective, that was probably not a good ending. They literally set every Disney villain free. It would be like Batman letting all the villains out of Arkham Asylum and just letting them run free in Gotham. While Maleficent may be a lizard, you still have powerful characters like Jafar, Ursula, and the Evil Queen with their terrible magical powers completely free to destroy everybody at any time. These villains died, they were resurrected, and then they were locked up in a slum by Beast and Belle. The kids may be innocent, but we have no idea what the parents are plotting. Jeez. Overall, the Descendants franchise was an attempt to lure the young generation back to Disney's animation and live-action traditions. But parents and young adults were emotionally conflicted. Well, it definitely served its purpose because the younger generation loves Descendants. We also can't ignore the many lessons the franchise tried to teach. Despite the myriad bad lessons and wickedness the villain kids have been given from birth, there's still some goodness inside trying to get out. Descendants also emphasize the importance of the choices we make, choices that don't automatically have to be beholden to the past. Disney really tried to keep the content and themes light for the kids, which is why many adults thought it was a cliche. What did you notice in Descendants that a kid would never notice? Sound off in the comments section below. This has been Riveted, and we publish amazing videos daily.